Amer Rahim. Top performance through empowerment, teamwork, and communication. This is chapter number 9. The learning goals are describe why and how organizations empower employees, distinguish among the 5 types of teams in the workplace, identify the characteristics of an effective team, and summarize the stages of team development. Learning objective number 4, relate cohesiveness and norms to effective team performance. Number 5, describe the factors that cause conflict in teams and how to manage conflict. Explain the importance and process of effective communication. Number 7, compare the different types of communication. And the last one is explain external communication and how to manage the public crisis. Empowering employees. Empowering Empowerment is an important component of effective management. Sharing information and decision-making authority are the keys to empowering employees. Empowerment frees managers from heads-on controls of employees and motivates workers by adding challenges to their jobs. So empowerment can be done like this, that giving employees the authority and responsibility to make decisions about their work without traditional managerial approval and control. So employees can share information and they have the decision making authority, and employees are keep informed about company's financial performance, and giving them or the company can give them the broad authority to make workplace decisions. Linking rewards to company performance. Worker ownership has become a way to link rewards to company performance. Employee stock ownership plans benefit employees by giving them ownership in the company. Stock options are another way to provide workers with ownership by providing them the right to buy a specific amount of company stocks at a given price. Stock options have tuned hundreds of employees at firms such as Home Depot, Microsoft, and Google into millionaires. Teams. Teams are widely used in organizations. Companies who use teams want to hire people who can work well with others. A team is a group of employees who are committed to a common purpose, approach, and a set of performance goals, mutually responsible and accountable for accomplished objectives. Ability to work on teams often emphasized during the hiring process. Work teams are a group of people with complementary skills who are committed to a common purpose. Okay, there are 5 species of teams: self-managed team, cross-functional team, virtual teams, work teams, and problem-solving teams. Team characteristics. Team size. Team size can range widely, but most have fewer than 12 members. Ideal size is often 6 or 7 members. Team level and team diversity. Team level means the average level of ability, experience, personality, or any other factor on a team, while team diversity is the variances or differences in ability, experience, personality, or any other factor on team. Stages of team development. Teams are typically progress through 5 stages of development: forming, storming, norming, performing, and enduring. Forming is the orientation period. Storming is when the personalities of the members clarify their roles and expectations. During the norming phase, members resolve differences and accept each other. In the performing phase, members focus on solving problems and accomplishing tasks. Enduring is when the team disbands. Team cohesiveness and norms. Team cohesiveness is the extent to which the team members feel attracted to the team and motivated to remain part of it. This increases when members interact frequently, share common attitudes and goals, and enjoy being together. Cohesive teams quickly achieve high level of performance and consistently perform better, while team norms are the informal standards of the conduct shared by team members. Cohesiveness motivates teams to achieve goals. Teams norms and guides team norms help guide cohesiveness. is important to note that norms can be positive or negative, or that cohesiveness helps build the positive team norms. Team conflict. Conflict means when one person or group's needs do not match those of another, and attempts may be made to block the opposing side's intention or goals. It can be cognitive conflict, it can be affective conflict. Cognitive conflict means it focuses on problem related differences of opinion. Reconciling these differences strongly improves team performance, while affective conflict refers to the emotional reaction that can occur when disagreements become personal rather than professional. Importance of effective communication. Communication is the meaningful exchange of information through messages. Managers spend 80% of their time in direct communication with others. The process of communication. Communication is a step-by-step process that involves six elements: sender, message, channel, audience, feedback, and context. Cultural context. All communication occurs in a situational or cultural context, the context that can exert a powerful influence on how well the process works. Western must carefully temper their to temper their low context style to the expectations of colleagues and clients from high context countries. Conduct a web search for more information on low and high context cultures and communication. So cultural context means communication in low context culture tends to rely on explicit written and verbal messages, while communication in high context culture depends not only on the messages itself but also on the conditions that surround it, including nonverbal cues, past and present experiences, and personal relations between the parties. Basic forms of communication. People communicate in many different ways. Communication includes writing as well as gestures and facial expressions. Different communications can assume various forms: oral and written, formal and informal, verbal and non-verbal. Listening. Listening is receiving a message and interpreting its intended meaning by grasping the facts and feelings it conveys. Listening can be cynical, offensive listening, polite listening, or active listening. What is cynical listening? Receivers of cynical listening is when receiver of a message feels that the sender is trying to gain some advantage from the communication. Offensive listening means the receiver tries to catch the speaker in a mistake or contradiction. Polite listening is when receiver listens mechanically to be polite rather than to communicate. Active listening means it requires involvement with the information and empathy with the speaker's situation, the basis for effective communication. Formal communication. Formal communication carries messages from someone who holds a senior position in the organization to the subordinates. It flows within the chain of command. It flows downward. It has a downward communication. It can be outward communication, and it must be open and honest communication. Open communication. In a work environment characterized by open communication, employees feel free to express opinion, offer suggestions, and even voice complaints. So, with open communication, employees feel free to express opinions, offer suggestions, and even voice complaints. It has seven characteristics. There are seven characteristics of open communication. Employees, number one, employees are valued. High level of trust exists. Conflict is invited and resolved positively. It has creative. Dissent is welcome. Employee input is solicited. Employees are well informed, and feedback is an ongoing process. Informal communication. Informal communication is to carry messages outside formally authorized channel. It has a grapevine-like structure. The grapevine is an internal channel that passes information from unofficial sources. Grapevine disseminates information with speed and economy and are surprisingly reliable. Nonverbal communication is a critical component of the communication process. Nonverbal communication transmits messages through actions and behaviors, gestures, postures, eye contact, tone, and volume of voice, and even clothing choices are all nonverbal actions that become communication cues, have a far greater impact on communication than many people realize. So nonverbal communication is very important. External communication. Business use communication to maintain their operations and manage their relationships with their customers. External communication is a meaningful exchange of information to major audiences such like customers, suppliers, firms, general public, government officials. Every communication with customers should create good work. So communication, here are some tactics that an organization can use. Communication during the crisis. The firm has to respond to crisis quickly. Put top company management in front of the press. Stick to the facts. When you don't know, offer to find out. Never say no comment. Speak to your audience.